Hey, it's Bob here. I wanted to share something that I was reading about earlier today, and frame it in uh, in a point of view of making a decision and living with the consequences. So we all make decisions every day. Sometimes we consider the consequences, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we like to think, yeah, I'll do it now, and I'll worry about it later. Um, in the book of Acts, the New Testament in the Bible, chapters 25 and 26, there's a story about Paul. And, yesterday I talked about Paul a little bit and how he started life doing one thing, and he had a revelation, and he went through and he was doing a lot of other things, building churches, teaching. And then the third part of his life, he was imprisoned. And during that imprisonment, he wrote, most of the new books of the New Testament, which is interesting because all of the work that he had done previously, with building the churches and everything, a lot of us don't even know where those churches are, or geographically, I couldn't point to them. But anyway, you can check out my video from yesterday. But today, I thought it was interesting. When he was first imprisoned, the Roman ruler wanted to send him back to the Jewish council to have a trial because there was a big riot that started, and the Romans took him under protective custody to say, hey, what's going on? There's this riot. We don't understand what's going on. And while he was in custody of the Romans, the Roman ruler wanted to send him back for a trial, and Paul says, no, I'm a Roman citizen. I appeal to Caesar. And during that time, Roman citizens could make an appeal if they were on trial, and they would go to have the Caesar rule on their case. And the Roman ruler said, oh, okay, you've appealed to Caesar you shall go. Great. So he made a decision. He said, I decide I want to be tried by Caesar. So that's a decision. Maybe he was considering the consequences. I know he was considering not the consequences. Like if he had not appealed, he would have gone to Jerusalem to be tried by the religious leaders, and they would have killed him. So part of his decision was, no, I don't want that. I decide this. And as part of that decision, the Roman ruler had to decide, or had to come up with the charges, had to write a summary of the case of why he was sending him to Caesar. So he invited the Jewish king, the secular leader of Israel at the time, to come and hear Paul speak. So it was King Agrippa, and the Roman leader was Festus, and Paul made his case. He says, look, I'm on trial for saying this, and for saying that, this, that, and doing these things, and here's why they don't like me. And the Roman ruler's like, dude, you're crazy. I don't understand what you're saying. I don't understand your religion. And Paul says, I'm not crazy. Ask the Jewish king here. He knows exactly what I'm talking about because he's been there. He's heard about this guy Jesus. He knows about our religious customs. He knows the scriptures, and he knows what I've been doing. And at that point, King Agrippa, the Jewish leader, king, and Festus, the Roman guy, they went off to a conference and they spoke together, and they said, he hasn't really done anything to be put to death. What he's saying is not worthy of being put to death. And at that point, King Agrippa says, Paul, you could have been set free, but you appealed to Caesar. So here's an interesting thing. He could have been set free, might have been killed, but he had appealed to Caesar. He made a decision, and now he has to live with the consequence. A lot of times we make decisions without actually considering the consequences. Will it be good or will it be bad? We just make a decision just based on the spur of the moment without considering the outcomes. I would say, let's start considering the outcomes. Don't be paralyzed, but at least look at the different outcomes and try to plan accordingly. And of course, life is unexpected. Things could always happen to change your plans, but at least you've considered the decision. Now, on the flip side, a lot of people are afraid to make decisions. They don't want to decide. They're like, oh, what do I do? I can't decide. Somebody else decide for me. They're giving up control, and they're not really considering the consequences because by not making a decision, you've decided that you don't want any part in your outcome. And that's a powerful statement. When you decide, you are participating in your outcome. You say, okay, I've considered the consequences and I'm making this decision. when you don't decide, when you say, I can't decide, I don't want to do it, it's also a decision. That means things are going to happen just the way they've been happening. And that's powerful because you can make the decision to change. You can change based on your decisions. All you have to do is think about it for a little bit. Take some of that power back. Whether you have to pray, read the Bible, get counseling, talk to a parent, talk to a friend, make a decision. Don't let life just happen to you. Impose your will and make things happen. Anyway, that was my thought for today, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you take the time to consider your decisions and consider the consequences. And, well, I'll see you next time. Thanks, and bye.